Physically, the 250 is identical to the 390 Adventure, but because it sits in a slightly lower price bracket, it has to let go of some of the features. For example, the illumination is provided by a halogen unit. It is not an all LED headlamp. It is, of course, the main bulb is enclosed or wrapped by boomerang-shaped LEDs. And then you have the instrumentation. The console is now LCD. It is not the TFT unit that you get in the 390 Adventure. And you also miss out on a few other features like you don't have Bluetooth connectivity. So overall, if you look at the 250 from a distance, it looks absolutely like a 390, which is a very, very good thing. And it's going to attract a lot more buyers. But you definitely have to trade that with a few features. Now, because the 250 Adventure shares the entire chassis and the cycle parts with the 390 Adventure, you have that big bike feel when you're riding it. And the way you sit on the 250, that's very nice, very commanding. You have a very good edge point. Of course, the seat height is fairly up. It is 855 millimeters in height. But otherwise, the geometry as such when you sit on the bike is very good. The legs are angled slightly rearwards because of the foot peg placement, and you have a nice hold onto these wide handlebars. So yes, I'm pretty confident that when you're riding on highways or even city riding is not going to be a problem, at least from the way you sit on the bike and the kind of response that it gives you because of that. The 250 Adventure borrows the engine from the Duke, and there is no taking away from the fact that it does not blend in as efficiently or as seamlessly as we would have liked. The nature of the bike is very different to the nature of the engine itself. In fact, you can actually sense the nature of the engine by reading what's written over here on the engine casing. It's all very bright in orange. It's called KTM Racing. So you know exactly what this engine has been designed to do. That is go racing, and go racing not off-road, but on the track. And that is exactly what really hampers the experience when you're riding the ADV or the Adventure 250, because you need that low-end poke when you're going off-road or into some trails. And low down the revs, this engine really has very little to give you as a reward for all the action and all the activity that you're doing with the bike itself. The gear ratios again are the same as the Duke, and that really limits you from exploiting the true nature or the true character of the ADV. You can of course play around with the sprocketing, but I really doubt that it's going to give you all that great an experience or really going to change the dynamics or the way or the character of this bike in any substantial manner. The 250 Adventure has WP suspension, the front is upside down forks, and the rear is a monoshock that is adjustable only for preload. The overall ride quality is quite stiff, definitely a lot stiffer than some of the other ADVs in the comparable segment. And that, however, has some very good rewards when you're going corner attacking on great tarmac. It gives you all the instant feedback that you want, but you will feel a lot of the road under you as well. And when you're cruising along on a nice long highway, the 250 Adventure is kind of weird because till about 5,800, 6,000 RPM, it's completely fine. There are no vibrations that you can really feel through the seat or the pegs or the handlebars. But the moment you cross 6,200, 6,300 RPM, that's when everything kind of starts buzzing. You feel every sort of vibration through the pegs, through the seats, and through the bars. And to top that, the seats, while they're very nicely designed and they're actually very good for a relatively short commute, the padding could have been slightly, very slightly softer than what it is. But I suspect that if you're riding with proper riding trousers on, it should not really be all that much of a bother. But because the 250 Adventure is an ADV, we have to talk about how this behaves when the roads end, when you go off-road. And let me tell you straight up that it is not as good off-road as the Royal Enfield Himalayan. That is down to, crucially, one or two very important things. When you stand on the 250 Adventure, you feel slightly more compromised compared to the Royal Enfield Himalayan. In fact, the Himalayan actually feels very nice when you stand up on it. I said that when you're seated on the 250 Adventure, it feels very nice, and I will absolutely maintain that. But when it comes to standing and going off-road, the Himalayan has this absolutely licked. When you're off-road, you want a very harmonious and very in-sync response from the motorcycle. All parts actually, the engine, the gearbox, the chassis, the steering, everything. And in this, the 250 Adventure is again kind of compromised because the low-end poke from the engine is not all that great. The clutch is really light and the gearing is kind of messed up for off-road adventures. So you will end up stalling the bike when you really don't want to. Or the alternative is that you rev it up to about 3,500, 4,000, 4,500 RPM and you get comfortable with the bike being at that RPM level. Only then, and with very gradual clutch release, will you get comfortable with it. And again, the one big thing that I noticed compared to the Himalayan is that the steering, while it's absolutely beautiful when you're going on tarmac or around some very good bends, it kind of feels very weird because it's superbly quick. And off-road, I would have wanted the steering to be slightly lazier in comparison to what it is right now. So yes, when you go off the beaten path, when you're in proper off-road conditions or slightly slidey conditions, the Himalayan feels a lot more confidence-inspiring compared to the 250 Adventure. So what is the KTM 250 Adventure? It is really a Jekyll and Hyde sort of story over here. It is a bike that can go very nicely on some nice bendy roads. It is fairly okay when you're cruising around at 100 kilometers per hour mark. And it can go off the beaten path. It can manage some leaves and twigs and that sort of stuff. It is not a proper off-road machine. It is definitely not in the league of the Himalayan. But it is so much more than the Himalayan when it comes to actual road use, where almost 90% of the people are going to ride 90% of the time. So it is in that setting that the Adventure 250 makes a lot of sense. I just really wanted the engine to be slightly pokier, lower down the revs, the gearing to be slightly more sorted, and the revs, when you go past 6,000, they give you a lot of vibrations. That should have been managed better as well. But overall, gives you a very nice big bike feel, nice wide handlebars, very decently comfortable seats for fairly short commutes, or whether you're wearing riding trousers or not, that's going to make a lot of difference as well. But overall, I think very decent job, but there is still so much more that could have been done.